Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I hope you're all feeling fine and dandy. Today this is going to be a bit of a quickie, bit of a catch up on the subject of our joint enterprise of a low no spend year. Yay! Firstly, thank you so much for your fantastic response to that first video. I know that there's a whole load of you who've put your hands up and said, yeah, I'm in, I need to do this, I want to do this. That's brilliant. I also know that there's a lot of you who, this is your normal life, it's what you do all the time. Mostly through choice, great, and some of you slightly less out of choice just because you've got such a low fixed income, and particularly folk on quite a small pension. So, you know what, I ain't going to bring coals to Newcastle. That's an expression in the UK. You know, I'm not going to be able to teach you anything. You can't teach your grandmother to suck eggs is another one, isn't it? I love these crazy expressions. Just on the coals from Newcastle, let's just have a distraction straight away. There was an episode of QI, one of my fave shows. I watch repeats of it endlessly because it always makes me laugh. I always think I've learnt something new and then instantly forget it, what have you. But they talked about that expression, coals to Newcastle. And they did a quick little survey of the studio audience. And they said, you know, put your hand up if you've heard that expression before. And they said, for those of you with your hand up, put your hand down if you're under 30. All the hands stayed up. Within a generation, an expression has become almost obsolete. Anyway, yes, that was a big digression. So yes, thank you for your response. And, you know, good luck to us all. What I hope by doing this over the course of the year, and I think the way I'm going to do things, it's going to be a once a month kind of check-in plus covering a particular subject area. More of that in a minute because I think you can contribute as well. What I hope we'll be able to do through this is inspire each other, keep each other on track, but more than anything, share ideas, share hints, share tips, share, oh, I've just heard you can get money off such and such, whatever it is, I really hope we can share. Obviously there's going to be some differences between countries, you know, what may be available in Canada won't be available in France, what's available in France might not be available in Australia, for example, but hopefully in terms of a sort of a general attitude, yeah, we can definitely share. Because, you know, I've always been fairly frugal my entire life, but obviously these last 5 years I've been super frugal, as I call it, beyond frugal. But even so, you know, I'm still learning, I'm still finding things out, and I can still kind of look at my spending and think, you know, am I getting the best value for my money? For me, I suppose in a way it's even more important when you've got a lower income. You know, if your disposable income per week is only 30 quid, as opposed to someone having a disposable income of 100 quid, that 30 quid has to go much further than the 100 quid, if you see what I mean. So I'm doing this too. So the first part of the challenge to you all was to get together your paperwork, all your bills, your statements, whether it's your bank statements, credit card, whatever it is, to get it all together, to be really honest, really ruthless with yourself, go through the whole lot to see where you're at. Hopefully you were able to do that. Did you do it? If not, get on with it. And it's something I do every year in January too. And like I said, because even though I've been doing this for donkey's years, it doesn't mean I can't find a better deal somewhere, and it doesn't mean I can't, you know, keep learning. So, like I said, I do this every January myself, and a lot of my kind of bills, annual type stuff, contracts, what have you, they mostly renew in February. I think that reflects the fact that I moved into this flat, when this first became my home, I moved in the December, mid-December. And in the first sort of couple of months, I was just getting my basics sorted. And it was sort of towards the end of January that I started looking for deals and kind of starting contracts with things. So, because I've got all of my stuff coming up for renewal, those things that do need renewing in February, January is my perfect opportunity. And I've been on it. So, for example, I got a fantastic fixed rate deal a couple of years ago for my broadband and landline. That's coming to an end, and as it comes to an end, I'll go on to a standard tariff. This is another thing to look out for. That standard tariff is almost double that deal I got a couple of years ago. Now, I want to stay with the same provider because I've always had good service from them. And in terms of broadband, I've talked about this a couple of times as well. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups for the immediate area, and I'm always seeing people on there complaining about there are 3 broadband providers in particular. People are always going nuts complaining that they've got no service, what have you. And touch wood, because I've never had issues. Sometimes it's a bit slow, but I've never been, I don't want to jinx myself, I've never been without broadband in the 10, 11, 12 years or so that I've had it. So I want to stick with my same provider. Give them a call and say, what's the best deal you can offer me? Because if you don't offer me a good deal, I'm walking. I'm not going to walk. They don't know that though. So I've managed to get a new deal. Again, I fixed it for a couple of years. Really good. And it's actually lower than my previous good deal. So it's going to save me, I think I've got a piece of paper somewhere, not to hand, it's about £4 or £5 per month saving. Let's say it's 4, let's go on the low side. So over the course of this year, that's £48 saved. Yay! I'm chuffed with that. Also got another little deal for my mobile phone. You know, it's I'm on a dumb phone, and it's a really, really, really cheap deal anyway, because it's literally just texts and minutes. But it's quite low on text. It was low on everything. And really, I only ever had the phone. I'm not the kind of person to be chatting on the phone all day. It was always a case of having it for emergencies. So, for example, for all these recent years, I have my phone on me all the time, so if there's an issue with Auntie Teapot, I can respond straight away. When I was working, it meant, if I was stuck in traffic on a bus on my way to work, I could ring the ward to say, I think I'm going to be about half an hour late, can someone take handover for me, that sort of thing. But really, and especially for when I'm out on my own, like in the garden, it's just a bit of a safety blanket, I suppose, that if I was to get into trouble in the garden on my own, I can call for help. So it never really bothered me about the number of calls, what have you, but they've just offered me this fantastic, no extra cost, a fantastic package with tons of calls and tons of texts. And that's great because, like I said, I don't particularly want to be making calls, but in the past, what would happen is I'd be in the garden, I'd get an urgent call, something to do with Auntie Teapot. I wouldn't hear the phone because I'm in the garden, the phone's in the shed. I'd come back to the shed, I'd see a message, I'd listen, and they'd need me to call them straight away. And I've got no minutes. So then I have to just pack up everything I'm doing in the garden, abandon the garden, get home in order to phone to solve whatever the issue is. It used to happen. It was unbelievable the amount of times. If I go to the garden 3 days a week, you can guarantee it's the days that I'm in the garden that I get the phone calls where I have to just stop gardening and get home. So now that I've got all these extra minutes, I can now use the phone to make calls from, and I should always, there's no way, the amount of calls they've given me, there's no way I'm going to run out of call minutes each month anymore. Brilliant. So yeah, even me who's been doing this for ages, I've managed to get 2 really great deals this month. One which doesn't manifest in terms of money, but, well actually it does in a way. No, it doesn't. I'm not saving money on my landline because those calls are free, but basically I've got a great package for my phone, no extra cost, and my broadband now is a much better deal that's lower. Yay! So it is that kind of thing of shop around when it comes time to renew contracts, and if you see someone's offering a similar deal for much less but you don't want to leave your provider, tell your provider, say, listen, I've been offered this elsewhere, can you match it? You never know, they might do. Something that we have often talked about in the past is comparing energy bills for your gas and electricity, but at the moment the advice, and I listen to Martin Lewis, he's the money expert, the advice is not to try and change companies at the moment. It's all in such a disarray, and I think they're talking about in April things are going to get even more bonkers. There's no point in trying to swap companies at the moment. I did back in the summer, before all this kicked off, I did have a little look around because I've been with my provider, oh crikey, it's ages, 15 years, basically since the company started. Well, not quite, but really, really early days I joined this company because it was the only provider in the UK that offered 100% renewable electricity. They don't do any kind of electricity unless it's renewables. So I jumped on board straight away. Since then, there have been a few other companies. And yeah, so back in the summer, I did do a really thorough price comparison with two of the other green companies that have become quite big. And you need to look at both your unit price and your standing charge price to get a good comparison. And the other two companies were a fraction less. I mean, probably over the course of a month, it would have worked out about a 15p saving. Now you might say, well, a saving is a saving. 15p over the course of a year is nearly £2. The thing is, the hassle of moving for 15p, not sure. But also, I really, really like the company I'm with. I've had fantastic customer service from them in all the years I've been with them. It's so easy to work with. And for me, that level of customer service and ease of using the company, interacting with them is, I'll pay 15p a month just for that. So yeah, I do compare all these things regularly, but I don't jump ship for 15p. I'll jump ship for 15 quid a month, but not 15p. But like I said, at the moment, the looking around for fuel, it's just, the advice is do not do it at the moment. And the other thing I sort of, this is so hard for me. So I've done my paperwork, got all that in order, got myself a couple of good deals, brilliant. And then in general, thinking about where I do spend through the course of the year, are there any areas where I can just say to myself right now, stop, you're not spending any more. I'm going to try, God help me, I'm going to try not to buy any books this year. That's like, oh man, that's like saying to a crack addict, no, let's not talk about that. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be hard. But I've got enough unread books. I've got one shelf of unread books and there's a couple more at the top that aren't read. That should keep me going for the year because, once we get into March, April, once things get much more full on with the garden, I kind of don't have time to read through the summer. And of course, blooming heck, moving house, that's going to be quite time consuming. So looking at what I've got on the shelves, I've said to myself, you know what, you've got enough. A couple of days ago, I was back to the charity shop taking some more stuff to them, some DVDs and tapes and what have you. And I did go and browse the bookshelves, looking specifically for books for the shop, not for me personally, and I picked up a book. It looked right up my street. I thought, no, you're not allowed to buy it. And then I thought, oh, but I think my sister would really like it. So I can get it, I can read it and then give it to my sister. It's like, honestly, it is an addiction. Look at me, I'm finding any ways to feed my habit. But it was really good, and I just put it back and I thought, you know what? She won't watch this, I don't think. I've already got 2 really beautiful books I found for my sister. Found them sort of last autumn. Beautiful, beautiful books for her birthday in the summer. I don't need to get another book for my sister for her birthday. I certainly don't need to buy her a book, but read it myself first. That's too cheeky. So I put it back. Yay! This is like 2, 3, where are we now? We're 4 weeks into the year, and so far I've managed to not buy any books. Let's see how I'm feeling at the end of February. Okay, so that brings us bang up to date. Hopefully you're on top of that paperwork. You're out there, you're finding some new deals, better deals, cancelling things you don't need, etc. Now, going ahead into the rest of the year, I've got my little scribbly notes here. I might forget something because they're so scribbly. I'm just going to rattle through some of the subjects I'm going to touch on as we go through the year. Let me know if there's a subject you think I've missed here that we can bring up. Don't comment for now on these individual subjects and how you tackle them, because there's going to be way loads of time and space to do that as the videos come out. And I think it's more useful if, when we're sharing ideas and hints and tips, if they are within the comments for that particular video rather than today, because we won't necessarily know where to find them later on, if that makes sense. But please do comment if you think there's an area I should cover that I've missed. So, some of the areas are going to include food, that's next month, that's a big one. Clothes, another big one. Gifts and gifting. Hair and beauty. You can see I don't spend on that. Entertainment, that covers all sorts. Holidays, that's a big one, isn't it, as well? I don't mean holidays as in like, ooh, the holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving. I mean holidays as in, you know, you're 2 weeks away on the coast by the sea. That vacation. Although holidays in terms of Christmas and New Year, let's maybe cover that too. Skills, looking forward to that one. And one big area, and I'm going to address this, I think we might do this in April or so, because that will be the 4th video in this series, and by then it might be pertinent. The subject of boredom, losing the will to do it anymore. I've got lots of ideas for that too. So, and hopefully by then, whatever this is, will have cleared up completely. Oy vey. So if you think there's a subject area we can cover, let me know. Obviously, once we get there, we're going to get into a lot more detail. I also thought that throughout, from time to time, I might just chuck in an extra little challenge. Again, it's that thing, isn't it? It's about keeping interested and keeping motivated and keeping on track and knowing why you're on track. Did you start your spending notebooks? I think that's a really, really good tool. The other thing to say is, as we go through the year, please do feel free to talk about how well you're doing, or to talk about how you're managing, or even if you're struggling with something, feel free to talk about that. But I would just put a little coda to that to say, just be careful what detail you share, what in terms of sort of personal information or anything. I don't necessarily want anyone to give us a share of their entire budget breakdown. Firstly, because that's sort of meaningless to everyone else, it only means something to you, but also that is really personal information. But maybe just in terms of, you know, if you want to share that you've saved 10 quid a year on your car insurance or whatever it is, yeah, share your stories, because again, I think that helps us all to stay motivated. So that's what I'm sharing today. I've shared my £4 off my broadband every month. Woohoo! What can I buy for £48 at the end of the year? Well, I'm sure I will need something for my new home by then. So yeah, please do share your success stories. Share if you're struggling, and hopefully we can all jump in and help and you know, give a few more tips. And also, let's just always be aware of everyone's at a different place, and you know, so if someone is struggling, don't give them a hard time. I'm sure none of you would anyway. And if someone's doing really well, let's bolster them. Let's never knock someone for doing well. Again, I don't think any of you would do that, would you? Because you're all, well, there's 1% of you that's not gorgeous, but the rest of you are gorgeosities. So that's it for today. I'm just sorry, I've got my head down. I'm looking at notes again because they are really scrawly. Just wanted to, you know, have a little catch up with you today, and I've just seen one of my notes to self. I think I wrote this it was just after I'd filmed that first video. Books, ... no! Exclamation mark. And I put down a rough, that's £3 per calendar month. It might be 5 sometimes. And I've written £3 per calendar month equals a new pair of trainers / gardening shoes in the January sales next year. That's a really good incentive for me to not get books. Write your incentives down. I know we talked about this in the last one about your goals, whatever it is, but write down what your goal is. It's a specific goal, as in a sum. If it's 500 quid for that fridge, if it's £2,000 for the, you know, credit card bill or mortgage, whatever it is. Even if it's something like me, small, that's like 35 quid for a pair of new garden shoes in a year's time. Write it down. Incentivise, motivate, all that. Right, that's it. I'm going. I will see you on this subject again in, where are we, end of January. In a couple of weeks or so, it might even be sooner than that. And we're going to talk all things food in a very, very low spend year. Until then, have fun with your books and balancing them. I don't mean your reading books, I mean your accounting books. Hope you all get some cracking deals sorted in the next couple of weeks. Let me know when we meet here again for food. See you then. Cheerio.